welcome back to Life Group. I'm so glad you came back as we wrap up this series on the family designed by God. The most shocking verse in all the Bible, as I see it, would have to be Judges chapter 2, verse 10. It says that another generation grew up who did not acknowledge God or even remember all the mighty miracles that he had done. Now think about the context of that verse. What are the mighty miracles they had just seen? They'd seen the Red Sea parted. They had seen water come out of a rock so that they could drink. Food would actually come out of the sky. God did so many amazing miracles. And then from Moses to Joshua, not only did they pass the Red Sea, but they crossed across the Jordan River. God just saw fit to part that for them. And then out of a prayer meeting, walking around the city, God saw fit that these walls would completely implode. They saw so much. How could it possibly be that a whole generation would grow up following all of that and say, I don't even acknowledge who God is or remember what he had done? Shocking to me. Well, the scriptures tell us in Deuteronomy 4 that it is the responsibility of a parent and even grandparents to pass along to their children who God is so they acknowledge him and all the great things that he has done. You know what this tells me? It tells me that the role of a parent carries the weight and the responsibility that can affect an entire generation. Let's talk about that. Why did God design it? So that the parents, this is how God designed it in the family, that parents would make such a difference that it would affect an entire generation. And how are parents supposed to tell who God is? And how are they supposed to remind their children and grandchildren about the mighty things God had done? And hey, if you're not a parent, listen closely to this, because part of this responsibility falls on all of us, because in some way, we all get to parent somebody. We all get to see that Christ is fully formed in somebody's life. Parents, I want to share with you a couple encouraging words. First, I want you to know this. You are the most influential voice in your child's life. It's true. They might not always act like it, but you've got to believe that God designed it this way. You carry the most influence. It's your voice of correction, your voice of love and affirmation. It's your voice having the guts to talk about the things that really nobody wants to talk about. And it's even kind of awkward to talk about. Sex, relationship. Parents know your voice really matters. And so I want to encourage you, keep speaking. Even when it feels like you're not listened to, your voice carries so much weight. And parents, I want to encourage you that one of the most valuable investments that you can make in your children is uninterrupted time. And I know that's so hard. We get interrupted by our phones, by a text message, by videos that have to be seen right now, from work to TV. There's so much that can interrupt our lives. But you know what your kids really need? They crave time with you that is not interrupted. So I want to encourage you to find how can you make that happen? How can you adjust your schedule in such a way that you're able to give your children time that is uninterrupted by them or somebody else? There's power in those great listening moments. Well, parents, hey, listen, I want to encourage you that God has given you a great and an important role, and he's empowered you to do that. You have exactly what it takes to be the kind of parent that can cause your children and grandchildren and those that you love so dearly to see to it that Christ is fully formed in their lives. Let's talk together about how can we practically make that happen in day-to-day life. Hey, parents, grandparents, I wanted to give you a heads up on a book that I read recently, Mama Bear Apologetics, A Guide to Sexuality. Probably one of the most greatest books I've read that lets us know this is what's going on in our world today, what our kids are being taught in what used to be a health sex ed class. It's shocking, but it's not just what's being taught and how our children are being formed sexually, but also what as parents are we supposed to do about it? How can we help our kids? It's so important. So if you want to check it out, Mama Bear Apologetics, A Guide to Sexuality. God bless you.